Okay, so I used to work at the Internet Advertising Bureau in the UK, which is the trade body in the UK for digital advertising. And I started working at TAG just over a year ago to work towards creating what we call global standards for local markets. So having international standards that are scalable and consistent, but are right for national markets and apt for markets like Germany here. We're a self-regulatory body that originates in the United States but has over 100 international businesses or businesses that operate out of the US. And the four pillars that we talk about are tackling ad fraud, tackling malware, tackling ad-supported piracy, and also generating greater business transparency across digital advertising. Well, TAG is about creating standards for every business model, so we don't differentiate between local, global platforms or agencies or intermediaries or publishers. There are obligations for each of those business models under TAG's standards, whether it's fraud, malware, or generating greater business transparency. So we are working with local trade bodies, international trade bodies, to kind of create an international framework to tackle these issues like fraud and malware across markets. Well, there's a number of obligations that businesses do when they tackle fraud. So we're here to create an environment for businesses to stop fraudsters creating invalid ad impressions, such as filtering out 100% transactions in accordance with the Media Rating Council's general and invalid traffic guidelines, and also deploying technological tools to filter out IP, data center IP threats, for example. So there's a whole range of standards or obligations within the standards that we're setting for TAG and for companies to comply with the standard. Well, Facebook is part of TAG. For example, it adheres to the Certified Against Fraud program that TAG has, and it's independently validated by a third-party auditor to those standards, and that applies internationally. So actually, Facebook is adhering to those standards, but as I said, the standards are not necessarily for global platforms. They're also for agencies, for publishers, for other intermediaries, and for advertisers as well. So we don't differentiate between one business model and another. We're just creating standards for digital advertising per se. I mean, I think the thing about fraud is that we as industry, companies have to move with the fraudsters who move very fast. I mean, one area that I think is very significant is around influencer marketing fraud, and where fraudsters, where people are buying fake followers. And I think this is something that we have to tackle. So it's a new area, it's a new challenge, and that's something that TAG has to keep on top of, because the companies have to keep on top. If they're going to increase their investment, if advertisers are going to increase their investment in digital, then it needs to be a trusted and trustworthy environment to work in. I think publishers have a very significant role to play here. Obviously, if they're going to rely on advertising as a business model, then not only is the revenue important, but obviously it needs to be trusted and transparent so that revenue can be important. There are lots of publishers involved in TAG, from the Wall Street Journal to content creators like NBC Universal. So it's very important for publishers, and it's very important for all business models to get behind TAG standards.